The next visual is my 10 simple steps to productivity. That's pretty simple, right? And the first one is the first one because it's the most important one. And that is own the first 15 minutes of your day. You don't have to answer, but how many of you, when you get to work every day, you open up your computer, you turn it on, you're looking at emails, you're responding right away, maybe you're on social media, you're looking at any voicemails you might have, and all of a sudden you're in the fray. You don't have a chance to think. You don't have a chance to plan. Own those first 10 to 15 minutes of every day. And I will tell you now that this one thing is probably the most popular task that people relate to when I talk about this subject. Give yourself the time to get settled in as to what your plan is for the day. We come back to those key goals. Come back to the key task. Own those first 10 to 15 minutes. Someone walks to your office door and says, hey, John, can I talk to you for a minute? If you're in your 10 to 15 minutes, the answer is no. Let me get back to you. Or come back at 10:15. Don't be so available when you're planning your first 10 to 15 minutes of the day. You've got to own it. Just get clear as to what you have to do, and then you get started. Now, if you get to work late every day, you're going to have a problem owning your first 10 to 15 minutes. So try to get to work 10 to 15 minutes earlier. Get your coffee, sit down, be a human being before the hordes come charging at the gates. You know what I mean. Okay, so the second one, the 4D rule. I didn't invent this. It's out there. You may have all heard it. But there are 4 Ds. First D is you do it. If it's something that you have the best skills and ability to do, then by God you do it, and especially if it's one of your key tasks. The second D is you delegate it. You give it to somebody else who can handle it better than you can handle it. I just left a client, he's a medical professional, and we sat there and talked, and I said, you know, Doc, if you don't fix your staff, you're going to be doing everything all of the time, and your business will never grow to the potential that it currently has. It's just not going to happen. So the second D is delegate it. Now, gee, Chris, I haven't got anybody who knows how to do this. Shame on you. Pick one of the ones that you think is the smartest who can make the minimum amount of mistakes, and if you can live with the worst possible outcome, then you delegate it. Then find the time to start to train them so that they can take that task off your desk, which allows you as the owner or as a professional to focus on the more important things. The third D is you defer it. Not everything has to be done at the same time. It's impossible to have 37 number one priorities. Be brutally honest with yourself as you go through your list. And the last D is dump it. I'll bet you that there's at least 20%, we're going to come back to that, there's 20% of the things on your to-do list that shouldn't be there, that'll never get done. It's okay, you haven't read that magazine from 2010. Stop keeping it on the floor next to your desk. I know, I've been to all of your offices. Right? Okay. Get rid of that stuff. Get those tasks off your list. All they do is create more stress for you. So the 4 Ds, do it, delegate it, defer it, or dump it. Number 3, get rid of unnecessary clutter. I want you all to go back to your offices, and I want you to have one thing on your desk, the thing that you want to work on just then and there, and get everything else, put it someplace else. Introduce the top of your desk to your wastebasket. Because those are all impossible?
I can't do it.
Oh, yes, you can. You see, Danny's saying can't, right?
And he's right.
He's right. He's going to be right. Wasn't it Tom? Wasn't it Ford who said either way? If you think you can, you think you can't. Either way, you're going to be right. Okay, my son, we're going to have to hold our hands over you and pray over you. All right. But my point is, you can do it. You just have to make the decision. But I'll leave. That's a personal choice on your part, because I don't want you sitting in the corner because your clients and patients or the people you serve shouldn't see you drooling from the side of your mouth. Okay, so, okay, we're not going to pick on you anymore. In fact, we're going to give you a present. Remind me, I'm going to give you a book, okay, because I'm picking on you.
Put it on your desk.
Okay, yeah. Put that on your desk. You know, Dan, there's just so much participation I like, but all right.
That's right, I don't need any more clutter.
That's it, no more clutter. Number 4, learn to say no. Learn to say no when other people want your time. For those of you who give your time away willy-nilly, let me tell you one thing. I want you to give me your address. Number one, I want you to go home tonight, take all of your worldly possessions, your money, your jewelry, car keys, clothes, throw it all out on the lawn so I can come take it. Because that's what you do with your time when you don't say no. You treat your time like it's a giveaway, like it's Halloween candy. It isn't. It's the most valuable thing that you have. Learn to say no. Avoid SOS, the shiny object syndrome. The things that look good but do no good. And if you don't have goals, if you don't have a vision, you are more susceptible to leaving space up in those 7 inches for distractions to find their way in there. Oh, what's that folder over there? Ah, I'm not doing anything right now. My clock on the shelf is crooked. I got to go fix that clock. I can't be seen having a crooked clock. The shiny object syndrome, deadly. Watch for it. Number 6, and this was on our first visual. Ask yourself, what's the one thing that you should do? This is going to be a little bit repetitive because there's nothing too mystical here. It's all common sense. But constantly ask yourself, what's the most important thing that I should do? When you put yourself in timeout because you're not sure what you should do, ask yourself a question, what's the best use of my time right now? Am I working on things which capitalize and utilize my skills, the best skills that I currently have? And if you can't come up with the answer yes, figure out an alternative. Okay, number 7, refocus. We talked about this by taking small breaks. How many have children, grandchildren? Everybody here you're in timeout. My oldest grandson sits in the corner and laughs. My middle grandson, his younger brother, just goes and leaves. The timeout for him is just not, it just doesn't work. And then my son chases him around, yells at him, and Bennett just has a ball with that. But put yourself in timeout. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if you took, somebody do the math here, 10-minute breaks throughout the course of a day, that's 100 minutes, right? That's about an hour and 40 minutes. You waste that much time going back, fixing things you didn't do well, or looking for stuff that you can't find, or other, diddly type distractions. An hour and 40 minutes isn't a lot out of your day for you to find refocus time to get back on track, or to find yourself working on the things that best utilize your skills. Put yourself first. How many of you have been on an airplane? Right? Safety briefing, put your oxygen mask on first and then assist the person you're traveling with if they need assistance. It's not being selfish to take care of yourself first. If you've got things you need to do, then by God, get those done. Don't make yourself available to others. You shouldn't let poor planning on someone else's part become a crisis on your part. Now, some of those folks you can't control, I get that. But when you start to say no, when you start to set up filters to protect your time and what you're trying to do, you find yourself being more productive. So again, put yourself first. And number 9 is stop giving away your valuable time, as I said before. And number 10, the last one, is about meetings. How many of you go to meetings? How many of you love every meeting you go to? Talk about sticking a pencil in your eye. How many of you have been to a meeting that you had no reason, no understanding or reason why you were there, but you were in this meeting? Shaking your head. Okay. They happen. So if you're the person, we need meetings, but we can't have meetings get in the way of what we're trying to do. So if you're an individual within your organization who is calling meetings, organizing meetings, I want you to start with the end in mind. Why are we having the meeting? What's the purpose of the meeting? Create an agenda for the meeting, and only invite the people who can contribute to that agenda. Don't worry about hurting somebody else's feelings, because you're going to punish them by having them go to a meeting that they have no idea why they're there while stuff is going on back at their desk that they're going to have to catch up on and work on later on. Start with the end in mind, create an agenda, and then if it's your meeting, be firm but be professional in sticking with that agenda. If something comes up that's not on that agenda, put it what people refer to as the parking lot. Stick it over there, we'll come back to it, or it's just not relevant. Some folks go to meetings, and I describe them as answers in search of a question. You know who these folks are. They know everything. Okay, and they're there as the answer in search of a question. Don't allow that to happen. Run the meeting your way. Try to keep the meeting under an hour.